Hi, my name is Margarita Bennett. I'm a clinical massage therapist and a craniosacral practitioner. I'm also slightly obsessed by the human body, as I find that the human body is just magnificent in all its layers. And I wanted to start providing you guys with videos explaining how the human body works so that you can understand how the system, the home for your spirit, for your soul. You are living in it, and many people don't actually understand how it works. And I find that if you can just open up the layers a little bit and see how it works, then a lot of things start making sense. And your healing, whether it's emotional, trauma, or physical, can start in a much more holistic and global way. So today we're going to talk about fascia. I want to explain fascia in very normal layman's terms, because I find that you can watch videos, they're very medical, they're very complex. You can talk about tensegrity or biotensegrity, and we will get there with some of the videos. But what I want to do today is I want to explain it so that you can explain it even to a child and it makes sense. So fascia is connective tissue. And what it means by connective tissue, it literally connects all the other tissues within. And it's all over your body. So the way that I like to explain it in clinic is, imagine a jelly baby with sticks in. So the jelly baby is you, and the sticks are your bones. Now, we can go into the semantics that bones is also fascia, but let's not complicate the issue. Let's just look at the jelly baby with sticks in. The jelly baby is basically predominantly water. We are made of 70 to 75% water, and the rest are chemicals that our central nervous system produces to basically manage everything that's going on. So whether it's our feelings, whether it's what we eat, whether it's the temperature, all of those are chemicals that our system is producing to allow us to function, not necessarily optimally, okay? So I don't want to diverse, so we're staying with fascia. So fascia is basically viscous, it's malleable, it allows us to be dynamic, to move. It's kind of, if you envision my jumper, it allows that stretch and that contraction within the system. It's constantly moving, it's constantly expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. And it's doing that with the rhythms of your system. So it's doing that with the cardiovascular system, which is basically your blood supply. It's doing that with the lymphatic system, which is basically what cleans your system. And it's also doing that with your central nervous system. So there are various rhythms within your body, which is basically expanding and contracting continuously. And that expansion and contraction is also done with your breath. So fascia is 3D because we're 3D. So I want you to think, people always think of fascia on the outside of the body, but it actually goes through you because it holds your organs. It holds everything in place. Some fascia is a little bit more liquid than other. So you have the viscera, so the layer that holds your stomach and all the organs. You have a layer, for example, that surrounds the liver. The liver is a really good example because the liver is, the majority of it is blood and it cleans itself. There's very little fascia inside the liver unless the liver is sick. So if you think of the fascia is literally holding that liver in place and itself. So that's a very good example, but our muscles are more fascia focused. So if you think of a piece of steak, the marbling that you get within that steak is fascia. The only thing is that in a steak, it's solid because it's dead, okay? It's a piece of meat, So it has no longer the life force in it. We, on the other hand, have the life force in it. So it's liquid, it's like rivers, and there are many, many different layers within it. So it's kind of like a cobweb of layers. And within those layers, it glides and moves. And that's why we're able to get into incredible positions. We can be dynamic, we can do sports, we can do ballet, we can jump, we can do so many things. Now, the other way that I describe it, a little bit graphically, but it makes sense to people, is imagine a toddler with a cold. Okay, so they have that really sticky, horrible cold where they're able to make the most amazing green bubbles. So visualize those green bubbles as fascia. So that it's sticky, it's viscous, and it can expand and contract. That's healthy fascia. So now we need to think of that toddler at the end of the cold, where that viscous, sticky tissue is now dry. And the only way that you can remove it from their nose is with a tissue, wet tissue usually, or your nail, because it's quite stuck. So that's adhesions. That's basically when the fascia in your system becomes stuck and it's not allowing movement. Now, adhesions are what causes pain. And it causes pain not because there's something wrong with the actual fascia, but because it starts pinching the nerve endings. So all the central nerves. So if you think of yourself as a beautiful root of nerves, so you have your brain and then the spinal cord, that's the main central nervous system, but then all the other branches come out in different areas of your body. And if you look at a root of a tree, you have the main branches, and then you have little ones and little ones and little ones, and then it becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. So all of that type of design is what we have inside of our system. And if the fascia stuck, like the toddler at the end of the cold, those branches start being squished. They have no movement, and that squishing causes pain. So that's why fascia is very important to be kept moving. That's why breath, yoga, exercise, whatever exercise you do, even if you're at home and you're doing some cat-cows or you're lying on the floor, all of that, and especially breath, is really important to keep that fascia malleable and moving. Now, massage, obviously I'm a clinical massage therapist, so for me massage is quite important. But if you are doing repetitive sports or repetitive movement, or you're not moving, let's put it the other way around, you're not moving, then the fascia is going to be creating more fascia, more restriction in the spaces where you're not moving. And then if you add on top of that the layer of emotions, that impacts your fascia too. So let's say you are a person that's really, really stressed and you're always like this and you're hardly breathing and your shoulders are up to your ears and, sort of anything is just like, oh God, I've just seen this email and I'm really, really stressed. That's producing chemicals in your body. And because you're like this, there's no movement in your shoulders. And because you're not breathing, there's no expansion in the system. And if there's no expansion in the system and you're constantly doing a very slight isometric contraction, then it causes the fascia to get stuck. So I want you to think of like a river of a dam. If the river starts kind of gathering stuff and emotions and issues, and it's not moving and there isn't a downpour, then it creates a dam. So the dam is kind of where your fascial adhesion is. And what you need to do is open up the dam so that basically the water can flow properly. And that's why, interestingly, with fascia, they say that you can have an adhesion here and the pain could be here, okay? Because it could be pulling. So your dam, because water is very, very clever. Remember, we are made of water. The dam finds other ways, or the water, sorry, finds other ways to get through. You know, water's very, very, very intelligent. So if you put a dam, it will look for other roots, which is basically what we are. If we have an adhesion in our shoulder, we will look for other roots to actually clean ourselves, to be able to cleanse the lymphatic system predominantly. So if this is happening here, there might be no issue here, but the dam is causing the river to come down here. And then this becomes the issue, because then I get an adhesion here. And the nerves, because they don't travel straight, they're not linear, they start causing pain, possibly here rather than here. I don't know if that makes sense, but it is how it works. So yes, I wanted to explain this in very layman's terms, and I think those examples are quite clear. I will put more videos on, and I will continue talking about the human body and all its layers, because boy, it's got so many beautiful layers. You know, it's just magical, and all you need to learn is learn to listen to it. Bye-bye. Try and listen to your body today.